Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, welcome to the Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. Najee Wilkins, Craig Sager, on this Tuesday installment, and we're excited. We've got a good show today. Some things to talk about. I was talking to Najee early in the office. We're working on finishing out the schedule for the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Basketball Classic. We're excited about that. Northside will be the Norcross will be the host on Friday. It's the third week of December. We'll get more into that, but Norcross will host 4 games on Friday, and then I think it's the 19th and 20th.
Yes, sir. The 20th and 21st.
20th, 21st.
Yes, sir.
So 20th at Norcross, and then the 21st at McEachern. So if you want to see some good basketball, we'll have 8 games, all 8 televised on the Peachtree Sports Network. Of course, you can always pick us up, Peachtree Sports Network, as well as the Atlanta News First app. We're on the National Federation High School Network every day, as well as our games on Friday night. And we've also on Zeem, which is the big CBS streaming portal, which is a very, it's sort of like a Netflix. It's interesting what CBS, the money that they're putting behind that. But a lot of different ways to watch us. And also, if you're interested, look, we're looking for great stories. We've got, we're going to talk about the volleyball rankings today. Later this week, there's a kid at Marist, guys, who is like the #2 cross-country runner in the country.
Tommy Latham.
Yeah, and they say that he is sensational. We hope to have him and his coach on this week as well. So as we do with every show, we start with the fast break headlines. I will go on and start that for today. Joshine Clark's heroics continued in Northside's 27-26 victory over Peachtree Ridge. Guys, are you surprised at all that Ridge gave a game? I mean, Ridge is pretty good.
They got a lead quarterback, Darnell Kelly. I think he's one of the best ones in the state that we have. Has a Kentucky offer and several other D1 programs. So not surprised. Actually, game-winning catch by Joshine Clark to win it for him.
I think it's incredible. We saw A.J. Watkins kind of play the role of hero last year, but the last 2 games, him filling in for injuries and doing a variety of things. I think in this game, though, it was all him. He's the reason that he willed them to victory, a huge, much-needed matchup against Peachtree Ridge, one of their tougher region opponents.
Yeah, so Joshine Clark, as you mentioned, caught 3 touchdown passes. The win for Norcross was 27-26, big Region 7 6A win over Peachtree Ridge. Clark scored with 52 seconds left in the game, and kicker Elijah Frey booted the game-winning PAT. Norcross goes to 4-1 and 2-0 in region play. It was quite a comeback after being down 14-0 in the second quarter. Norcross head coach said our team fought when they were down and came up with enough points to win the ball game. As you mentioned, Norcross quarterback Dylan Muhammad, who was hurt on the first series of last week's game against Duluth, was 19-28 for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also, running back Kobe Robinson, one of the state's leading rushers, had 86 yards on 22 carries with a 12-yard touchdown. All 3 touchdowns, as I mentioned, went to Clark, who had 8 catches for 165 yards. Caught touchdown passes of 47 and 14 yards. His 40-yard touchdown was on a 4th and 6 to get Norcross on the scoreboard. So, Craig, you got our second headline?
Yep, so I want to talk about Hillgrove next. This is great for the Hawks. They improved to 5-0 for the first time since 2019. The Hawks cruised to a 27-6 win over Pebblebrook on Friday. They're now 2-0 in Region 3. Ian Wilcox ran for 2 touchdowns. C.J. Ford added another to help lift Hillgrove to the 27-6 victory over Pebblebrook. The Hawks improved to 5-0. They're 2-0, and it is the first time since 2019 they have reached that mark. The Falcons, meanwhile, Pebblebrook, they dropped their second straight, fell to 2-3. So this is what we are looking at in 6A this week. There's a lot of undefeated teams left that aren't in the rankings. Valdosta, Richmond Hill, Lowndes, Hillgrove. But these matchups, we're going to start to see them playing each other, but definitely put Hillgrove on your radar. Oh, North Cobb, they're ranked, but yeah, another Cobb County team that's 5-0, but we wanted to give them a shout out. All right, let's move on to headline number 3, Brantley County. If you watched yesterday's show, Todd Holcomb was talking about how big this matchup was. They were a 31-point underdog, and what was so incredible about it, this is Class A Division I, it was a region opener. Jeff Davis was 4-0, Brantley County was 0-4, and Brantley County has a new head coach with David Shore. He came over from Brunswick, and so this is a coach that's looking for his first win with his new team. They're 31 points underdogs. They're trying to avoid an 0-5 start, and instead they come out and pull off the biggest upset of the week. So that was a huge victory, 28-21, and now we'll see if that turned around their season, but that is certainly a significant headline. Congrats to Coach David Shores and the Blue Herons.
All right, at number 4, second-year outfielder Milan Torres. She committed to Texas A&M. She was an all-county selection, as well as Region 8 4A Defensive Player of the Year last season. She is hitting this year a .695, 37 for 59, with 10 home runs, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 37 runs, and 17 stolen bases. She has been electric so far this year, and congrats on her commitment to the Texas A&M. All right, at number 5, you have Lakeside. They held off Dunwoody 30-31 in a Region 4 5A win. Lakeside Vikings built a 34-17 lead and held on as they knocked off Dunwoody Wildcats 34-31 in Region 4 5A high school football meeting at Adams Stadium on Friday night. Lakeside quarterback Kyle Davis ran for a pair of touchdowns in the second quarter to send the Vikings to a 21-17 lead at the half. He then added the lead with a 21-yard touchdown pass to Jason Mitchell. In the third quarter, Tristan Lewis scored the second of his 2 touchdowns on the night with a 6-yard scamper to the end zone after a big tackle for loss by senior defensive tackle Makai Williams-Lee. Wildcats put up 2 scores in the fourth quarter to put pressure on before coming up with just a little bit short. Lakeside's going to host Tri-Cities, which knocked off Charlotte 2018 on Thursday at Adams Stadium. Dunwoody's going to face undefeated Decatur at North DeKalb Stadium on Friday.
Yeah, Lakeside, there's a bunch of us that are, with the Hall of Fame and everything, that are trying to work and get this team back to, or program back to where it was. I don't think that'll ever happen because they just don't have the manpower or the player power there. But I think they can be pretty respectable, and it's nice to see that this year.
And the Arabia Mountain win last week, and then a win over Dunwoody. I mean, that's 2
win over
back-to-back.
Dunwoody. Look, I'll tell you what, Dunwoody looked pretty good at Corky Kell.
Yes, they did. Especially with their quarterback Matt Perch and their head coach Mike Nash. I thought they were going to be kind of one of those teams to beat this year.
And Lakeside has a marquee player. I think they have one that just committed. We'll have to find out his name. Hey, by the way, before we get into the Georgia High School Football Daily Report, this storm, I'm looking at this storm right now, guys, and it looks like it's probably going to be out of here. It's going to be a sort of a touch and go, I think, for North Georgia as far as Friday night. But the track of this storm is coming right through the city of Atlanta, right now at least. Now, of course, that could change once it, hits shore and stuff like that. But right now, it doesn't. It looks like we're going to be okay on Friday night. Maybe some of the teams in the very, right at the Tennessee border might have some problems, but I think we're going to be all right. All right, let's go to our update on the Georgia High School Football Daily. Our partners who come out every morning: Todd Holcomb, Chip Say, Ted Langford. They did their Player of the Week. I don't think there's any surprise here. Jashawn Clark, we just talked about him. The Norcross senior really was the one that led them over, with a huge win over Peachtree Ridge, to comeback win. And, as I mentioned, Clark's 40-yard touchdown on a 4th and 6 really got Norcross back in the game. Najee, how good is he?
He is elite, IJ. When you pair him with the Jamari Harrell, very special tandem. He's just slept on because he doesn't have a big size. But you talk about a versatile deep threat down the field every time. And one of his big signature qualities is yak yardage.
Is he getting some teams interested in him?
I talked to him. He says UAB's interested. Liberty's thrown a little bit of interest as well. Jacksonville State. So hopefully he continues to have a good season. They want to see some more film. Hopefully he can have a little bit more.
And let me add one thing. So the week before this, he got put into the quarterback role, led Norcross to a big win over Duluth. And then look what Duluth did this last week, put up 90 points. So that win's starting to look a lot better.
Well, and, it's interesting because, now you're starting to see more players like this not only do well in college but make it to the NFL. And to me, the best example was the fullback for the Chiefs on Sunday. I mean, if you just watched him in college, he was a good player for Ball. So I'm not saying he wasn't a good football player. Supposedly he was like a Mr. Indiana and everything. But if you looked at him, I mean, he wasn't drafted, okay? They just picked him up. And I'm going to tell you something. I wish we had a kid like that. I mean, vertical runner, made a big difference in the game. So you just, size, looks, whether you're white or black, I mean,
you're right.
it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, it's sort of what's in here. We're seeing, so hopefully Jashawn Clark will do well. Also, offensive line of the week, Richmond Hill. We'll have their coach on in a couple of segments to talk about them. In fact, we'll just talk about the line then with him, with the coach and everything. But they are the GHSF Daily's offensive line of the week. Also, Andy Spiva was the featured Hall of Famer. Andy passed away. Was playing for the Falcons in a horrible automobile accident at a very young age. Great player, one of the greatest players ever to come out of DeKalb County. In fact, he went to Tennessee, and I still think he holds the record as far as the most tackles in volunteer history. Guys, he started all 4 years. It's like 600 and something. I mean, it's unbelievable how many tackles this guy had. It is insane. Wow. And just a great player, and just a really good person. Dave Hunter coached him at Chamblee, and basically says the best defensive player that he's ever coached and that he ever saw in the 1970s. Wow. So Andy will be going as our one of our 30 inductees. And of course, we also got the trivia. Brantley County has a unique and colorful nickname. What is it? Najee had it right yesterday. It is the Blue Herons, which fly over Caney Bay, the swampy area in which the school was built in 1960. That's pretty interesting to see a bird that's a good-sized bird.
Yeah, it's pretty big, for sure.
It is. And then, of course, today's question with the Georgia High School Football Daily. Duluth, I still don't know how this happened. They scored 90 points in its last game last week. That's the most lopsided victory by a Georgia team since 1976 national championship team. Also won a team from Georgia 90-0. That's pretty easy, guys.
Is it Valdosta?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% Valdosta, but I don't know. I don't know anybody else in the 70s that. I don't know anybody else in the 70s that that won it. All right, we're going to go to break in a second. We've got coming up. Craig's got our rankings report on volleyball. This is the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
The Georgia Sheet Metal JETC equips apprentices with the knowledge and skills required to start a rewarding career in the sheet metal industry with programs in HVAC, industrial welding, and testing, adjusting, and balancing. Training is 100% free and allows apprentices to earn as they learn. Journeymen graduate with no student debt and have the potential to earn more than most college graduates. Visit our website to learn more about this opportunity at careersinsheetmetal.com.
Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, IJ Rosenberg back here, Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network. I want to thank our friends at Atlanta News First, the CBS affiliate in town. Of course, this show is powered by IBEW Local 613. All right, we're going to get into our volleyball rankings, but before we do, I want to ask you this question, okay? Give me the definition of a libero.
That is a defensive specialist.
Right. A defensive specialist that cannot do what? They can't go to the front line, okay, and they can't serve. And they wear a different jersey, really?
Yes.
I mean, they're basically the dig player, correct? I mean, they dig the balls out and set up the passers, basically, right?
Yeah, so there's a setter, there's the hitters, but they seem to be the one that cannot, I mean, I don't know the correct term, but hit it over the net. They're just basically 100%
to play defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's an interesting position, and typically it's a smaller girl that plays at the spot, typically.
Oh, yeah. They are always
the outside
down on their
hitters
knees,
are tall,
rolling around. Some very impressive.
Yeah.
It's a difficult position.
And like I said, they wear a different jersey. They're the only ones that wear the different jersey, right?
Yep.
You know what I like about volleyball, Craig? I've always liked about this is, and I think this is, you know, with the girl sports, is that they just get so excited. I mean, after every play in volleyball, they're coming together in class. It's a different vibe. I think that's why flag football works.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's, you know, flag football picks up obviously, you know, all the aspects of regular football except for tackle, but at the same time, I think the girls give it a lot of energy and excitement. And I think that's one of the things I like about it. You see it in volleyball, you definitely see it in softball. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a big rally going that kind of changes the momentum of the set, it's like it's more exciting than a touchdown. That's what the girls are about, and it's very difficult. It's not just about power. It's about the teamwork, defense, good offense, knowing what the other team's doing, and the strategy. I mean, if you're playing a team has really good outside hitters, you aren't going to want to match up with them, and there's adjustments within it. And then what we get in the playoffs is a lot of familiar opponents. So it's been interesting. There's been some true powerhouses, McIntosh, Blessed Trinity. But I think this year with the reclassification, we're going to see some first-time contenders.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, the athletes are just, you know, especially the outside hitters are tremendous. All right, let's go to the volleyball rankings. Of course, we do the volleyball rankings for AJC and the AJC.com every week. Craig, let's start off with 6A. We've got Alpharetta, North Forsyth, Walton, North Cobb, Norcross, and the other 5. Any big changes in 6A this week, Craig?
No movement, but there were some significant results. We mentioned last week Alpharetta played North Forsyth. It was pretty even, but I was surprised the first set, I'm not making this up, it was 25-5. Alpharetta dominated it before North Forsyth even started gaining his bearings, was able to be competitive, but they just came out and wiped the floor with them. So that was impressive. They also picked up 5 out-of-state wins, and this is against the Tennessee powerhouses, which actually have had a lot of success against Georgia teams, Sandy Creek, Walton. A lot of them have been served losses. Norcross continues to cruise. They beat Brookwood. That was a big top 10 win for them. They look very dangerous, but they did lose to Hebron Christian down in the private division. And then Harrison at number 10's won 6 straight. And then I'm looking at Marietta. This was an 18-10 program last year. This year they're 25-4. And the big area rivals, Walton, they took them to 5 sets, fell just short. So I think Marietta is a lot better this year.
And before we go to 5A, the volleyball playoffs, by the way, will start on October 15th, and you can get all that information because we handle it all, the brackets and the summaries and different things like that. But October 15th will be the first day of the playoffs. Let's go to 5A, where River Ridge is on top.
Yep, River Ridge is 22-2. They've won 4 straight. They did have a 2-1 loss to North Cobb Christian, and that's interesting because that private division is so loaded in A through 3A. I don't even have North Cobb Christian ranked, but River Ridge does have wins over Pope. They've been competitive with the 6A schools. The team to watch, though, Woodward Academy, they're 27-1, and they have won 15 straight games. They haven't played quite as tough as River Ridge. I still have River Ridge holding on number 1, but that is a team to watch. And then Milton at number 3, they just lost a tough match to Blessed Trinity, but I did not move them down. They have big wins over Pope, and a big matchup coming up is going to be Milton and Alpharetta.
All right, let's go down to 4A, where Pace Academy, Marist, Kell, Cartersville, and BT are the top 4. Those are 4 really good teams.
Yep. This is so similar to the 5A when you have Pace Academy at the top, you had River Ridge at the top, and then you had this Woodward Academy team that has been just steamrolling everyone. Same thing with Marist. They've won 16 straight matchups. They're 22-3. And then you got to give Kell a shout out. I've talked about how red hot they are this year. They beat BT. They're on an 11-game win streak at 22-9. This is a team that made it to the quarterfinals last year. They actually beat Midtown before they lost in the semifinals. That was an epic 5-set match. But I think Kell has their set sight on a run to the finals this year. And 4A is a much different classification than the 5A they were in last year with your McIntoshes and some other big-time schools.
And let's go to 3A. You got Jefferson, Richmond Academy, Chastity, Heritage, Catoosa, Cherokee Bluff.
Quick question, Craig. I want to ask you about this player I wrote down. Valerie Schumann. She has 428 kills, leads the state. How good is that Chastity team? Can they potentially challenge Jefferson or Richmond Academy? And how special is Valerie?
Yeah, Chastity is very close. I had a lot of trouble not putting them number 1 this week because I wanted to. They're on a 18 match win streak. They're 28-5. Jefferson's 22-3. They recently lost to Hebron Christian, so I didn't hurt them for that. And then Richmond Hill's awesome. But Chastity, certainly a team that they are just as evenly matched. You don't have a big-time premier private school in this classification anymore in 3A. Jefferson's up there. The other ones go to the private, or they're in the 4A with Westminster, St. Pius, the Woodward. So I think it's wide open. Chastity has certainly taken that next step, and then a program that we thought would be dominant in 3A is Sandy Creek, and they are kind of reeling right now. They have lost 4 straight matchups, and it's a lot of out-of-state programs. They've dropped all the way to 13-23 because of that tough schedule. That's 10 games below 500. They still have, if you were to examine their 3A overall record, it would be probably like 9-2. So they've been competitive, but they have had a really tough stretch. We'll see if they can bounce back.
And speaking of Sandy Creek, let's just look at the champions last year. A had Mount Pisgah, and of course some of this has changed, but A had Mount Pisgah, AA Mount Perrin, 3 was Sandy Creek, 4 was Pace, and 5 was McIntosh, 6 was Alpharetta, and 7 was North Cobb. Any of those teams you feel have a pretty good shot at winning a state this year?
Well, Alpharetta is my favorite. I still like Pope to challenge River Ridge. They're the team that lost to Alpharetta last year, and that was actually a much closer matchup than people think. I'm trying to think, but I think 3A is wide open. 4A could be contested, but in terms of a sleeper, I'm still looking at Milton really strong, and then obviously Kell in 4A, and then Chastity in 3A.
All right, let's go down to Class 2A. That's where Morgan County's on top.
Yep, and they are head and shoulders above the other teams. Pierce County recently lost, I think that was a 4-match losing streak, so they just played their toughest stretch of the season all out of classification. So Morgan County at 29-2 has an 18-match win streak. And then the updated playoff, I guess it's the rating system just came out. Morgan County is ranked even higher than Hebron Christian because they're both in 2A and they're going to separate. That's how good Morgan County's been this year.
All right, real quick, Class A, Gordon Lee, Armucci up on top, and then we'll go down to A through 3A private. You just mentioned Hebron Christian has the #1 spot there, and Mount Pisgah. So that's our volleyball report for today. Got a good guest coming up.
Yes, we got a good guest coming up, guys. Stay tuned. Richmond Hill, they're off to a 5-0 start. They're going to be here in our segment 3. That's the Volleyball Records Report. We'll be right back with a little bit more after the break.
Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Sorry, guys. I think I just, what just fell? No, I'm good.
Hey, Coach, someone told me your last name is LeZotte. I want to make sure that's right. I don't want to mispronounce your name.
Yeah, everybody butchers it, but you nailed it. Yes, it's LeZotte.
LeZotte, got it.
Thanks, Coach.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. We're going to be joined by Richmond Hill's head coach, Matt LeZotte, to talk about their great program. They are 5-0 to start the season. How you feeling today, Coach?
Well, ready to go, man. Trying to eye the tropics right now to make sure that we get this thing in this weekend. But I tell you what, very proud to be the head coach of this football program. Excited for our guys. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun time to be a Wildcat right now.
So I'm going to let IJ open up some questions, but I do want to give some credit. It's never talked about enough, and that's the offensive line. You guys are the offensive line of the week by Georgia High School Football Daily. What does that mean to you? I mean, you had great guys like Brody Miller, Billy Meadows, Thomas Zimbalati, Cam Jackson. Tell me about those guys you got blocking for you.
Man, I tell you, they're blue collar. You know, when you talk about guys, and ever since they started in our program, we looked at them and they've loved playing the position. You know, a lot of guys, you try to convince them, hey man, you look good playing tackle, or you look good, snapping the ball. And you try to have some guys up there that can do some things. These guys have embraced it from day one. A lot of them played early in their freshman year, back 4 years ago. That we had a COVID season, right? And we close contact. They had to go in and play. So these guys have played a lot of ball together, but they embrace it. They love practice. They love getting out there. They love getting dirty. And the most important thing is on Friday night when they get going, they love watching the other side of the ball and how they react, because when it turns into the third, the fourth quarter, these boys are just getting hot, and I love to be around a group like that.
Coach, impressive victories, 31-12 over Glen Academy. Then you beat Everglades 45-0, New Hampstead 47-28, Wayne County 42-0, and then Buckholz last week, you beat them 35-28. You got to feel great about the way you're playing offensively.
Well, we're scoring points, and you take a look at the data. You know, it's we're on pace to do have a really good season as far as that's concerned. Now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of playing in our region. You guys know our region as well as anybody, and it's week in, week out. It is brutal. So we'll see how that unfolds. But proud of where we're at. Proud of what we've been able to accomplish. The Buchholz win, that was a big win for our program. Maybe top 5, maybe top 3 win for our program in the history of the program, right? And so, you know, you start taking a look at what we've been able to do. The environment that we've been able to create. These guys thrive in it. They thrive in the preparation. And not just our offensive line that we're talking about today, but our entire team, man. We set a premium on preparation, and these guys show up every single day ready to go get it. And that's what allows us to be competitive against some of these teams that really do have high levels of talent. Our guys, they play for each other. They play with each other. And that's a powerful team.
And then, Coach, this is a great start for you guys. Offense is moving the ball well. People are going to look at this 5-0 record, but then realize you guys are in one of the toughest regions in the state. I know it's a big matchup against Tiff this week. You're familiar with them. What are you looking for just in this region opener from your guys?
Well, we just want to be consistent. You know, you rewind and we go back and a couple years, you know, we scheduled a very tough schedule for our players the last 2 years, and especially the non-region. We knew how bad our region was going to be, but we felt like if we don't schedule hard, we'll never be prepared to play in our region. And you know, we were on the losing side of a lot of those games, and we like to refer to them as learns, right? Like, because we were just trying to figure out, like, how do we accelerate our play to be ready to go on Friday nights when they matter in region play. And our guys really grew and adapted. Our coaches grew and adapted as far as the preparation goes. And so, you know, we're not surprised by anything. There's nothing that we're going to see this year that we haven't already seen. There's no talent level that we're going to see this year that we haven't already seen. And so our guys are accustomed to it and ready to go. The big thing is can we just show up with the focus dialed in like we have the last couple weeks, which has been razor sharp, and really have that kind of execution when you take the field on a Friday night.
Coach, I know what you're trying to do down there. Of course, you've got Tiff County, Camden County, Valdosta, Lowndes, and then, of course, Colquitt County. You'll end the season with them. By far the toughest region, I think, of any classification. But tell us a little bit about Richmond and what is, you know, where it's at and sort of the history of your school.
This is what we get excited about right here. Like, we are a blip on a map. You know, not very many folks were familiar with Richmond Hill, and then we started to have some success over the last little bit. Very popular place to live. We're in a high growth community. I think we're the #1 county in Georgia for growth. We're the #6 in the nation for growth. We're building a brand new high school that's the largest high school ever built start to finish in the state of Georgia. And so there are a lot of things, and we'll be in there next fall. But a lot of big things happening. But we're in a high growth community. And with that comes a lot of changes in infrastructure, a lot of changes in expectations. But you know, it's a great place to be, great place to raise a family. And I love working every single day. When you talk about support, I couldn't ask for more support from my superiors. And I really think that our assistant coaches and our teachers feel that support across the board in our education system. I believe we're ranked a top 5% nationally in education as far as our academics. And so, you know, there's this total picture of Richmond Hill that, man, like we're just trying to be great in everything that we do. And you can really see it. We're trying to play a brand of football that's competitive. But we're very competitive in every other sport, and so it's a special place to be. We're excited about it. I'm hoping you can sense the excitement that we have, but very proud of our guys and how we've grown over the last little bit, and the future's so bright in this area. These guys are going to leave a lasting legacy.
And as a final question, Coach, I want to ask you about some of your players, some of your key players this season. Joshua Thorpe, has 755 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns. And then your senior linebacker, Cannon Krula, he has 3 interceptions. He leads you at the linebacker spot. You usually see DBs having that many interceptions. Talk about those two.
Well, so Josh has done a great job. We ask a lot from him, and we have asked a lot from him in growth and development. And man, he just continues to perform. Right? He grows every single week, and he accepts it. He's like, give me more, Coach. Give me more. Special teams. He's doing stuff at special teams that man, you just like, oh, you just goo and ga over, right? Like just making adjustments and playing hard. He's an awesome player. He's a great guy to have on our team. And he's a great example for our young guys. And you talk about Cannon, guys, yeah, we have him listed as a linebacker, but he's probably more of a nickel, right? And so, but the guy, and he's a full-time kicker. So, he does punting and kicking for us also. And you take a look at his touchbacks, he just destroys the ball. And so this guy's making a lot of tackles, making a lot of plays, like you said, interceptions. But the best part about Cannon is his preparation, right? Like starting off the season, he was going through and making up his own little checklist of things and what he was to expect and see in different looks and whatnot. And you're like, wow, man, this is a junior in high school that has the maturity of like a third-year player in college, right? And so, like I said, we set a premium on preparation. Those two guys are the epitome of it. How they prepare during the week, you can see the results on Friday nights.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best. You'll play, of course, this week against Stiff County. Then you've got Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri the next couple of weeks.
Bring them all, baby. We're ready to go. So, it's we're not going to back down from anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter where we're going to play. We're going to go play football, and we're going to keep score, and we're going to be ready to go. And we're ready to go. We do feel like this is the SEC of 6A. So, we've been gearing up, ready for this, and started back when that final whistle went off last season. So, thank you guys for having me on. I'm truly blessed to coach these guys, and thankful that you guys are recognizing. They put in a lot of hard work and effort. So thank you guys for what you do for high school sports. Glad to be a part of it.
Well, Coach, I sense the excitement in your voice, and we wish you the best, and we'll have you back on, all right?
Thank you.
All right, Coach from Richmond Hill, they've got a big schedule coming up. All right, we've got, we'll look at our Mr. Georgia football watch list when we come back. You're watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back, we're going to do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
The Mechanical Trades Institute is an opportunity towards personal financial freedom through hands-on and rewarding work. Our school is completely free and gives apprentices the knowledge and skills required to gain access to a lifelong career path. Apprentices learn pipe fitting, plumbing, mechanical service, and welding. They earn money as they learn and graduate with no student debt. Start a career with the Mechanical Trades Institute and change your financial future.
All right, we are back on the Georgia High School Sports Daily and powered by IBEW Local 613. Excited to be here in the Score Atlanta studios in Roswell. And on this segment, we've got our Mr. Georgia Watchlist. We'll also, with flag coming up, we'll also do a Mrs. Georgia Watchlist. Seth Ellerby will be handling that for us from Macon. Our big honors ceremony will be December 8th at the Teamsters location down in South Atlanta near Lakewood Fairgrounds. And we'll be doing a lot of different awards. We'll be giving a lot more information on that coming up. That will be open to the public, and we certainly look forward to doing this. We will name a Mr. Georgia, official Mr. Georgia, for the first time. So let's go on through our watch list. Najee, you want to go on and give us a start?
Yes, sir. So I'll go ahead and get it started. I'll start at the bottom. Mine is Luke Nickel, quarterback for the Milton Eagles, 9 for 12, 227 yards, and a touchdown this past week in a big win over Chattahoochee. Milton continues to roll and show they're one of the better teams in the state of Georgia. Then you had Cedartown athlete Tay Harris, 81 yards on the ground, 12 tackles, and 3 tackles for loss. Cedartown is rolling number 9 in our poll, continue to do their thing. And then the first name on this list that we have not mentioned, and that is Thomas Blackshear, Cavalry Day wide receiver, is exceptional, committed to Georgia, 6 receptions for 128 yards. He had 226 all-purpose yards this past week. He's been doing his thing. He's been balling out as well. And then North Gwinnett quarterback Ryan Hall is another new name on this list, 11 for 14, 225 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Number 3 team in our Score Atlanta poll. They've been rolling. Craig has been high on them, I think, ever since we've seen them at Coca-Cola 707 Invitational. They've been balling out. And last but not least, Warner Robbins, Rashawn Dinkins, also first time on this list. He scored on a 27-yard reception and a 56-yard punt return. Georgia Tech commit just received an offer from Georgia, has been doing his thing this season. He has been spectacular, plays both ends of the field very well, man, and he is on this list. So obviously 3 of 5 new players for me.
Craig?
Well, I think it's great. Yeah, Najee mentioned the new names. I just want to point out Thomas Blackshear. He's got a new quarterback. Merklinger was incredible last year. The question was, how good are they going to be? I think Cavalry Day is starting to heat up.
Yes.
So I think this is the right time to put him on the list. He is one of the best receivers in the state. We've seen it for years. So I'm going to start from the top of this list, though. Lee County's Osman Kroma had another big performance, 152 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and also 74 yards receiving. That's something we're seeing Lee County and Coach Fabrizio do a lot this year. They line him up in the slot. It's hard to imagine a running back that talented running these routes, but he can do it. He's really crisp, has great hands, and is dangerous. They got big matchups coming up this week.
Before you continue, Craig, he has a commitment coming up too, Kaji. I want to let you know this week he's supposed to commit.
Well, maybe we can get him to commit on our show.
Hey, I'm trying to, Aj. I've been hitting his coach.
You know, one of the things that I think that running backs should do more, and that is to get the coach, to get the head coach and talk to him about throwing the ball to him. It makes such a big difference in high school. You know, a lot of kids, a lot of running backs, that's all they do is run the football. They don't catch the football in high school. So when they get to college, they sort of have to be taught that. But when they're catching, I'm a little surprised, guys, that more high schools don't. Are y'all a little surprised that more high schools don't throw their running backs?
A perfect example is Coach Maloof and Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, well, that was the game winner when he hit him down the sideline. But you're starting to see more and more. I'm sorry, Craig.
No, it's a great point. And I'm telling you, he can run routes. He's got a big body, and his catch radius with his wingspan is unbelievable. He's got the total package. We'll see how he does. He hasn't really had to take the 20-carry games that we saw last year against Housing County, but I have a feeling once they get into these big region matchups, he will. All right, North Oconee wide receiver Landon Roldan. He continues to dominate for North Oconee. They are cruising. They got a pretty favorable matchup against Cedar Shoals this week. He had 9 catches, 103 yards, another touchdown, and he, of course, is also playing in that secondary. Speaking of two-way players, Caden McGath, Pierce County, he had a really tough, gutsy performance against Brooks County, who was up for most of the game, but he finished 11 of 19 passing. That's pretty rare. They usually don't pass that many times, but 126 yards and a touchdown, and also 33 carries for 145 yards and a touchdown. So yet another game where he is doing it all offensively. And then Wesleyan quarterback Ben Brown, 116 yards and 3 touchdowns, and rushed for 49 yards and a score in the St. Francis win. They dominated that matchup, so he did all that in the first half. They're going to play Mount Pisgah this week, another game that they should win easily, and he's got 1,242 yards passing this year, 19 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He's putting up massive numbers. And then the last on this list, Savannah Christian's Elijah Griffin. He was off this past week, and we're going to get to see him front and center against BT. I think this is his moment.
And you know, I think, you know, very much like it's going to be a huge moment for a lot of players, both quarterbacks, when Georgia and Alabama play this Saturday night. You know, we've got Elijah on Friday night against Blessed Trinity. It's an opportunity for him to show what he can do against a bigger classification team. And, you know, look, I mean, when you're a running back and you're a quarterback and a receiver, you've got all those statistics to help you. That's why you just, you know, you don't see a lot of defensive tackles or defensive ends winning Heisman trophies. But I've got to say that this kid's got a good chance to win Mr. Georgia.
Yes, he does. And we've seen Hebron Christian, they got knocked off by BT. Prince Ave did. Well, now it's Savannah Christian's turn. I can't imagine they're going to want to run the ball in his direction, but he's got to be such a disruptive force because this BT offense is very methodical. They take shots when they want to. They don't try to be overly aggressive. So he's going to have to make a big impact, get to Brooks. He's going to have to continue getting into that backfield. He's got 10 tackles for loss, but I think this is an opportunity for him. He's going to be hard to miss on the field. He's going to be the biggest guy out there. But I'm excited to see him play and that everyone else will get to watch him go up against one of the hotter teams in the state right now.
And, you know, Craig, I talked to the BT athletics director about the game and all the stuff that will be on television. Savannah Christian, they're just bringing the football team. No band. I think they're going to bring a few cheerleaders. I mean, that's a long drive.
Yes, it is.
It costs a lot of money to do, you know, to come all the way up here to play BT. But basically, they're bringing their football team up here. Have y'all seen a line or the Maxwell line on that game? Have we seen?
No,
one?
it will come out probably tomorrow.
Who will be favored? Will BT be favored? You think?
Yeah, probably not.
No, probably.
Really,
I'd say
by a couple points. Or?
I'd say Savannah Christian by
Touchdown.
3 or 4. Yeah, I mean, they've been dominating. But the real interesting part about this game, yeah, it's going to be great to see Elijah, but BT's defense is giving up like 50 rushing yards per game, and then that's all Savannah Christian's going to want to do is run the ball.
Right.
Yep,
and they run for about 350 yards per game. And so it's like it's literally the best rushing attack going up against the best rush defense. And then is Savannah Christian going to try to be creative, pass the ball a little much? But we'll see. I mean, I cannot wait. I really think this is an intriguing matchup. But what a way to start off a great weekend of football.
Real quick, and then we're going to talk about more about this matchup. LaDamian Guyton, guys, is the name to know. Top player according to On3 Sports in their rankings for the 2027 class. I want to see what he's able to do against that offensive line. You cannot block him and Elijah Griffin. I think he's going to have that coming out party on TV.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that, you know, we're very excited about having this game. I think we're giving you a pretty good idea of how we're branching out and not just doing, you know, the big classification teams. You know, we're good friends, obviously, with Blessed Trinity. And so anyway, coming up, we're going to talk. We're halfway through the season. We got some video on Milton and North Cobb. You're watching the Georgia High School Football Sports Daily. All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613 here on the Peachtree Sports Network. Real quickly before we get to our look at midway through a recap, halfway through the season, there have been some football changes. Of course, we got the tropical storm Helene, which is expected to turn into a hurricane. Right now, there's 3 changes. There's a lot of games on Thursday night now. I mean, more teams are playing. So some of these games, Callaway at Pike, they've moved to Wednesday. Seminole County at Early County has also moved to Wednesday. And Bainbridge at Cairo is also going to play on Wednesday. And I'm sure that there's going to be more than that. And we'll keep you updated. And we'll also keep you updated at Score Atlanta at scoreatl.com. All right, recap. We are halfway through the season. I don't think there's any doubt, guys, Najee, Craig, that the best team in the state right now is Milton, and they might end up as being as the best team in Georgia. And nationally, they're being looked at very heavily as far as being one of the top teams in the country.
I hope they get to play for that national championship this year too. They are that good, and like we talked to Coach Reeves last week, they just have so many players. It's not just their stars, C.J. Wiley, Luke Nickel. They got Hayden Tumania, A.J. Benton, T.J. Lester, so many people.
So here's we got C.J. Wiley touchdown right here. I want to thank Max for that from the score staff from getting us that highlight. But Milton, really, really very, very good. Luke Nickel, the quarterback, handed the ball off there. We saw him, really got the chance to see him up and close at Georgia Tech at our Corky Kell Dave Hunter 7-on-7. But they're loaded from top to bottom, guys. I mean, I just don't know if there's anybody in 6A that's going to be able to beat them. Maybe a team from down south can come up here, or they might have to go down there depending on if they lose the coin toss or something like that. But right now, I just don't know if there's anybody that's going to knock off Milton.
Yeah, certainly if you just look at the roster on number of recruits, no one's going to be able to match up within that classification. So it would take a special team that is going to have to find some sort of strategy to keep the ball in their offense's hand, maybe run the ball, but it's going to be tough. You aren't just going to be able to go toe-to-toe with them through the air.
Yeah, another team I wanted to talk about was Buford. They gave us a pleasant surprise, beating Douglas County 31-14 a few weeks ago on Peachtree Sports Network. As you see the touchdown right here late, they put it away. Jordan Allen right here catching a big-time touchdown. Them here, another touchdown from, that's actually a pick by Douglas County right here. Big-time play right there, not letting the ball hit the ground. But nonetheless, an incredible game between these two. I think the biggest question with Buford was, will they be able to get back to a state championship, right? They've been in the quarterfinals, semifinals last couple of years. But this team and the physicality they play within this game, as you can see it right here with Justin Baker running the football, could they match up toe-to-toe and be physical? And they did that against Douglas County. So this is a special team. Coach Applin, I think, is going to be ready to go. And I think they are going to be a team that we got to watch out for in 6A. Like I said, I think Grayson's in there. I think Douglas County, Carrollton, Buford is going to be the top 4 to watch for this year.
Yeah, and of course, one of the things we didn't mention that we should probably mention all the time was that Milton, of course, is not a top classification team anymore. They're in 5A. Yep. So it's a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit easier run. You got some teams down south, maybe Coffee, Lee County. I don't see Houston County beating them. I mean, maybe Gainesville can stay with them, but we'll have to see with that. Let's go and talk a little bit about a couple of the other teams. North Cobb, we had them last week. I think, guys, I think this team's for real. I think that, Craig, you're going to be pushing them up in the rankings really soon. Right now, we got them at number 9. They beat, you beat Walton. I don't care whether you beat them by a point or you beat them by 3 touchdowns like they did, especially at Raider Valley. That's a tough place to go and win. And they looked really good. And their running back quarterback tandem is certainly one of the best in the state, Craig.
Yeah, and so the last few seasons with North Cobb, they've had the big physical quarterback, the big running back. I think this year you finally see North Cobb finding their identity offensively. They know their balance. They have the athletes everywhere, and that's a scary thing for their opponents. I think if they continue to handle business, which they should, have the fast starts, protect the football, that identity will keep growing, and they certainly are in that conversation with your Bufords, Douglas Counties, and Carrolltons. The big question in 6A, though, is who is the best team in South Georgia, and that's what we're going to see coming up but it's really tough to tell right now because they've dominated outside of their region. I think it's like a 24-5 overall record so far between all the teams. And so we really don't know who is going to be that big challenger or challengers from South Georgia in the highest class.
Really quick, I want to hit the smaller classification, Class A through A private. This playoffs is going to be some of the best that you're going to see here in our state. Class A to 3A private. Look at these teams. North Cobb Christian, 5-0. Calvary Day, 4-1. Athens Academy, 5-0. Hebron Christian, 4-1. Savannah Christian, who's going to be on TV this week, 5-0. Love it. They're still undefeated at 5-0. Wesleyan, 4-1. Craig, you've been saying it for the longest since this kind of came about, and I agree with you. I think this is going to be one of the better playoffs we're going to see.
Yeah, we've never seen in the playoffs where it's going to be teams that are all in the top 10 will be squaring off in the early rounds.
And
real
quickly, because I know we've got to go, but we got Cartersville in 4A. I think we got a quick highlight. We have time for that quick highlight. We had Cartersville. They beat up Calhoun pretty good. That's a very, very good team. Of course, right now we've got North Oconee Marist, and then Cartersville 3. BT 4, if BT beats Savannah Christian on our TV game Friday night, they could move up. All right, tomorrow we've got Justin Rogers from Thomas County Central. Thomas County, of course, winning the state championship last year, beating a very good Creekside team. They will play Lee County. I'm a big fan of Justin. I think Justin was at Jones County before, I'm pretty sure, and built a really good program there. But he's done a great job at Thomas County Central. Of course, that area with Thomasville is a big deal. Well, Craig, Najee, appreciate it. Make sure you can check us out, all the stories, our daily dives on scoreatl.com. Big day tomorrow, big week. We'll keep you updated on the storm. You are watching the Georgia High School Sports Daily on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.